I just got back from Cleveland shooting one of the most spectacular weddings that I have ever done. The location was absolutely phenomenal, so the photos that came out of it were incredible. And today I'm gonna go over one photo and I'm gonna show you basically what I used to take the photo, the edit, and let me tell you, generative remove has really revolutionized editing. It has made photos like this absolutely possible and even better. And then there's also one thing that I had for this wedding that made these photos completely possible, whereas if I wouldn't have had it, it wouldn't have been possible at all. So let's get into the video and get started. My name's Will, welcome back to the channel, always good to see you. This is the photo that we are talking about today, and let's go over and break down the setup of how I took the photo. First, magnificent staircase. I mean, you can't really go wrong with this. This was at the Hyatt Arcade in Cleveland, and this building is phenomenal. It is stunning, beautiful, it has everything. Honestly, it's just great. Any photo taken there is pretty much gonna be amazing. However, for this photo, I wanted to do a very creative bridal party photo. So I wanted to style them a little bit. So I had them pose in different levels, different ways, and just kind of did a little bit of a creative bridal party photo rather than the standard, side by side. And I think it worked really, really well here. Now for equipment wise, I was using my Canon R5 with an EF 2470 2.8. I was using a Godox V1 flash off camera, so I had the transmitter on the camera, and this flash here. And then I was using a 24-inch softbox on a 10-foot newer stand. Now this thing is incredible. This is the game-changing item that made this photo possible. So this here breaks down just like this. Hang on, let me make this a little bit wider. There we go. So it breaks down just like this. So it fit right into my suitcase. It expands, you just pull it up here, and it expands just like that. The flash clips in right here, and you snap it in, and then this goes on the stand right there. And it is incredible. Now, to break it down, you simply just push this here, this comes right out, and then you just slide this little latch here, and it breaks down. Super easy, super light, and absolutely incredible. But let me show you the photo without the flash, because I took it with this video in mind. So here is the photo completely without flash. This is raw. Now, if I take the exact same edit that you saw in the beginning of the video and apply it to this photo, this is what happens. Same photo, but without the flash. That's all it is. So there we go. So this is the photo with that exact edit. You notice it is way darker. If I were to boost the exposure on this to get it even to look slightly decent, you'll notice that it just doesn't look as clean. So everything is really exposed. Notice all the people back here, we'll get into that. But you'll notice everything is bright. There's no controlled light. It's just all over the place. Some of the people are overexposed, some of them are too dark. Over here, it's a mess. So if we compare the two, this is the one with the light, and this is the one without. You just notice it's a lot softer, a lot cleaner. It looks better. So this made it completely possible. And I had it about 10 to 20 feet away from all of the bridal party, facing directly at them. So it splashed light onto the couple, and then it feathered outwards. That's how I just had it set up. So with that photo now taken, let's get into the edit and get started. Now we're here in Lightroom, and the first thing you want to do when you're in Lightroom is all of your removal tools, because if you start applying edits, it slows it way down. So before you do any edits, make sure you do your generative fill, your removals, the spot healings, all of those prior to edits when you're in Lightroom. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna zoom in here to our people and press Q on the keyboard to open up the remove tools. We're gonna make sure generative AI is selected, and we're going to just start removing people. Now this does take as long as it takes, so take your time when you're doing this and get it right. If you have to double remove, or you have to do it multiple times, do that. Sometimes you'll do one removal and then it'll add something weird. Like when I was doing this, it was adding weird CGI AI looking people. and that didn't look good. So I just had to remove them again. So that does happen too. So that looks good. Let's go to this guy here. What is going on? This thing is not moving like it should. There we go. Now when you're doing around people's hair and whatnot, try and just get the edge without getting too much of it, because it can add, it might think, oh, I need to add stuff here, and that's no good because it makes them look really, really strange. Yeah, here's an example of all the AI looking weird people. So we have to do this twice, and we might have to do it smaller. That way it does little sections at a time. And you can always go through and look at the variations to see if those work. Like that works better than the other two, but what we can do is we can then come in here and remove this stuff. Now I did notice this spot right here, right next to his ear, so we're gonna fix this. And again, you're not looking for perfection because it's in the background. Once you edit it, it should kind of go away and blur out so people won't notice any things that don't necessarily look perfect. You're just going so it looks clean. Obviously get it as good as possible, but you know, you can get away with some stuff being that it's in the far background, and once you do all your adjustments and editing, it won't be as noticeable. Okay, so for this one, we're probably gonna have to do it a little bit more individually because it's just not working doing all of it at once. Sometimes that happens. A little bit better, but we need to fix this. Let's just refresh it. There we go, perfect. Okay, good, except for this little section here, which we're just gonna remove because it looks like he has a double shoulder. Good. And now we're past the hard part here. This is the easier section, which we can probably get away with doing both. Now, if you do make multiple selections like this, it will do both and it'll keep them individual. And I'll show you what I mean. So as long as the masks, the selections aren't touching, it'll create two separate generative removes. That way you can adjust them individually. So for example, I can click this one, or I can come over here and click this one. Now they both look fine, so we can actually adjust, maybe see if we can get that column to look a little bit better. Nope. No, that actually looks a little bit, that looks okay. Okay, good. So then I think there might be anybody over here. No, okay, good. Now the last thing we're gonna do is remove the exit signs because they are glaring and red and ugly. And it's so easy to remove them now with this. All right, and there we go. So here's the before, here's the after. So much cleaner, so much better. So now let's get into the actual edit. We're gonna close this part here, and we are gonna go first to our transform tool, and we're going to click auto and see if it works. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. There, it worked perfectly. Let's start with the basic panel here. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna warm it up. Go up to about 6,900. It had very warm light in there, so I wanted to balance that with it because it looks really, really nice in this environment. It kind of matches the feel. With the magenta, we're just gonna lower it just about 5 points to 20 and just make it look really, really good. All right, now exposure-wise, we're gonna just raise it just a tick. I actually don't even think we need to really do that, but we'll just add a little bit. We're gonna add some contrast, and we're gonna do the highlights, up the shadows, get some details back. We're going to lower the whites just a shade, not much. Go into the clarity, soften the image just a little bit. We're gonna dehaze it to bring back some contrast in overall image and just kind of make it a little bit cleaner. And then we're gonna up the saturation just a shade, maybe to 10. All right, now with the tone curve, we're gonna keep it super simple. Point in the shadows, point in the midtones. We're gonna lower the shadows just a shade, and we're gonna raise the black point so we get that kind of faded-ish look. Now, you might be saying, it looks really, really intense, and you're right, it does, but we're going to adjust that. Let's go to the calibration real quick. We're gonna go shade it towards the teal and orange look. And then we're gonna go up into the color mixer, and this is where we're gonna make a lot of adjustments. For the hues, we're gonna do the orange, we're gonna do -8-ish. For the yellow, we're gonna go up a little bit to +10. For the greens, up to about +26. That's just gonna make the dresses pop a little bit more. Aquas, +13. And blues, we're just gonna go to +11. Now in the saturation, we're gonna lower a lot of the saturation to even everything out a little. So on the reds, we're gonna go to around 15. For the oranges, -25. Yellows, 50, -50. Notice how it's looking a lot better already. Greens, -30, let's say 26, fine. And then for the luminance, we're gonna do +13, 12, 13 on the oranges. We're gonna do -1 on the green, almost not even needed, and -21 on the aquas. With the color mixer differences here, here's the before and after. It looks so much better, so much more natural. The whites are pure, the colors are pure. It's just that it looks back to normal. All right, next we're gonna go into the detail tab. We're gonna do my standard 40 in your sharpening, 60 in your masking, 60 in your luminance, and 25 in your color noise reduction. That usually is a standard that I do on most images. It seems to get rid of all of the noise altogether, and then the masking just keeps the edges sharp. And that's it for the global adjustments. Now we're gonna make the local adjustments. We're gonna get into the masks, and this is where the image comes alive, and this is where you can be very, very detailed. So the first thing I always do is just do a select subject. Now, when you do groups of people like this, especially from afar, you're going to get, the mask is not gonna be precision perfect. So it's really up to you to make it as detailed as possible, because the more detailed you are, the better it's gonna look overall. So you see, there's lots of overlays that completely missed a person, it missed her train, it did a lot. So we're gonna go to the minus first, and we're gonna do a minus brush. Then we're just gonna come over here, and it usually, sometimes it's easier when you have auto mask selected, sometimes it's not. For this time, we're not gonna select auto mask because it doesn't need to be exact. I know I just kind of contradicted myself on the whole detail thing, but in this case, we don't have to be super perfect. If you find yourself slipping a lot, then turn on auto mask, and sometimes it just works much better. But I've done this 1,000 times now, so I have a practiced hand. Once I finish all the subtractions, then we're gonna go to plus, and we're gonna add a brush. And this is where we're going to add the pieces that got missed. And a lot of times, it's funny enough, the faces get missed. So if you notice that, just make sure you get all the faces back. And sometimes, even though it looks like the face is done, the opacity isn't 100%. I don't know why this does this, but a lot of times I will just go over the faces again, even if they look like they're covered, just to make sure it's getting the full adjustment of the brush. And I have found many times it is a lower opacity for some reason. Now let's say you make a mistake, and let's say you're doing the train here and you somehow go like that. All you have to do is push Alt or Option on the brush, and you get a little subtraction sign, and you can then erase that selection. Now that works on the current mask. So for example, you can't erase a subtraction from a positive brush. Let me show you an example. If, for example, I did a brush add here, and I went to the subtraction mask, I couldn't erase that with the subtraction mask because it's an addition mask. So you have to use the current brush to erase the current adjustment, if that makes sense. The adjustment brushes adjust themselves rather than the overall mask. I think I said that right, but if not, you get what I'm saying. Now, since this missed her completely, I am gonna turn on auto mask because this will probably help make sure I stay in the lines, because I'm not zooming in. It would probably be easier to zoom in, but for some reason my navigation spacebar isn't working as well, so I'm just gonna stay out, zoomed out. But this seemed to work good. Push Option, erase the side here. Remember, I have to do it in mask, in this edition mask. I can't go to subtract and do it. And it looks like I got everything. Oh, let's add his foot here. Good. Okay, so now that we have the subject mask done, the reason you do this is because there's a little bit of a faster way to create a background mask. If you were to just create a background mask, you're gonna get all of those weird adjustments. You see how you're missing a lot here, you got hair, you got this whole person here. It's gonna create almost the identical mask that you did when you did select subject. So what you can do is when you have made all of your adjustments on your select subject, you simply click the three dots, you click duplicate and invert. And this makes an exact reverse, inverted mask of what you've already done. So all of your adjustments, you notice you can actually see where there is a lot of missed spots, but this will save you a lot of time in the long run. And then you can go in here and you can fine tune this a little bit more if you want to do that. But it's funny because you see all of these different things that you missed because of the mask opacity that it automatically sets on certain spots. Now, once you've made these adjustments, you can then delete your select subject mask, and then you could go in and make a duplicate of this one to get the more refined adjustments if you wanted to. But again, this is being very, very, very specific, and it does take time to get it really, really nice, but it's up to you how detailed you do want to go with it. Now, I have noticed, I don't know if anybody else has noticed, but when you zoom in like this and are doing masks, it really slows Lightroom down. Like, substantially slows it down. I'm not sure why that is, but it's annoying. Now, you'll notice I haven't made any adjustments yet. That's because I'm getting these two masks specifically refined, and then we'll make the adjustments. All right, I think that's good enough for this video. I would probably spend another 10 minutes on this, really refining it, but you get the idea. So now we're gonna delete the subject mask. We're gonna duplicate and invert this one to get the more refined one. We're gonna rename this sub, and we're gonna rename this one BG for background. Okay, now that we've done our masks, we're gonna make the adjustments. So we'll click our subject here. We're going to raise the exposure to about 0.20. We're going to lower the saturation about -5 or 6, and we're gonna add some dehaze just a little bit, just to make them a little bit more poppy off the image. Then we're gonna go to the background, and we're going to just raise the exposure, just eyeball it here, make it look good. How about 0.24? We're gonna add some warmth here, and we're gonna add some magenta. Good, that looks totally fine. Then after that, we're gonna do my skin, eye, and teeth preset here, which if you don't know how to do that, I will link the video in the description that teaches you how to do this. We're just gonna click it, and it's gonna do its thing automatically, which is so much more convenient than doing it manually every single time. It takes also no time at all. Done. Okay, good. Now, it's not picking up any teeth, so we can just delete that one. Not a problem. And now we're gonna pull attention to them. So the first thing, press M on the keyboard for the linear gradient. We're gonna pull it up from the bottom, pressing Shift to keep it straight. And we're just gonna lower it about 75-ish. And that's just gonna darken that front ground there and pull your attention in towards the subject. Then we're gonna do an exposure radial, so Shift M on the keyboard, and we're gonna draw this right around our couple, and we're just gonna raise the exposure just a shade. Perfect. And then we're gonna duplicate that mask. So just click on 3 dots, duplicate mask, and we're going to invert this one and create a vignette around them. So invert the mask, so it's everything but the subject. And we're going to darken this about the opposite. So we raised it 0.24, we're gonna lower it to 0.24. And that's gonna help pull your attention from the outside of the image right into the middle at the couple. The next thing we're gonna do is actually brighten this guy here. So Shift M again for a radial because he didn't catch a lot of the light. So we wanna make sure that he is even as far as the other people are concerned. Lightroom is running so slow right now, it's kind of ridiculous. And raise the exposure just a shade. Perfect, and that kind of evens him out a little bit. And then if you want to get super creative, one thing I like to do is light the lamps. Now they are lit, but you can make them a little bit brighter. So this is kind of a fun thing to do, and it just adds a little bit of pop in the background. So we're gonna make a radial, Shift M, around the little lamps in the background. We're gonna make the feather super intense. Probably have to zoom in on this one. There we go. Make the actual light part really small if Lightroom wants to catch up and stop being so slow. So raise the exposure a little bit, raise the warmth a little bit, scroll down, and we're going to adjust the clarity and dehaze. So just click points down here. It doesn't have to be anything specific. Just do it, and then eyeball it, and if it looks good, there you go. Oh my God, this is running so slow. While we wait for Lightroom to catch up with us, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks. Okay, good, so now we got it to work. I had to quit out of Lightroom, come back in to have it catch up. So here's the before, the left light over here. Here's the after. So you see it's just a little bit, and you can intensify it if you want to make it pop out. There we go, that looks good. So now all we're gonna do is press, you can click here, or you can click on the three dots. We're gonna just duplicate, and then we're gonna drag it over to this light here. And then we're going to duplicate, and we're going to drag it over to this light here. And one more time, and drag it over to this light here. So there you go. So now the lights are glowing, which kind of puts a little bit more interest to the image. But there you have it. There's the edit to the image. Here's the before, here's the after. And I personally think it looks absolutely spectacular, and we did it all in Lightroom. So that's it for this video. So go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. I'll link a bunch of little goodies and things in the description, so definitely check it out. If you have any questions, comment below. But if you want to check out some more videos, here's two that I think you'll like. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. Later.